The ocean waves crashed gently against the wooden beams of the Santa Monica Pier. Children laughed in the distance, and the smell of cotton candy floated in the air. It was the kind of day that felt picture perfect for most people. But for one girl sitting quietly on the worn wooden planks, the world didn't feel perfect at all. Her name was Emily, a 16-year-old with soft brown hair and tired eyes that seemed much older than her years. She wore a faded denim jacket, her favorite despite the fraying sleeves, and her wheelchair rested beside her like an unspoken reminder of what she had lost. Emily hadn't always been disabled. Just a year earlier, she had been a runner, fast, wild and free, winning medals at her school track team. But one reckless drunk driver had changed everything in a matter of seconds. The accident had shattered her legs, her dreams, and in many ways her spirit. Still, Emily tried to be strong. She told herself the pier was her safe place, the one spot where she could look out at the endless blue and believe, even for a moment, that life still had beauty left in it. But safety is fragile when cruelty walks by. That afternoon, a group of teenage boys approached, their laughter sharp and mean, the kind of laughter that carried more sting than joy. They were local kids, bored and hungry for someone weaker to mock. Emily, sitting alone, became their target. Move. Cripple. One sneered, shoving at the side of her wheelchair with his sneaker. The wheels jolted, nearly tipping her. Another boy laughed, and before Emily could stop him, he kicked her chair again. Harder this time. Her books spilled onto the planks, and her water bottle rolled across the pier, clattering until it fell between the gaps. Emily's chest tightened. She wanted to shout, to fight back, but all she could feel was that crushing weight of humiliation pressing down. The world around her blurred as families passed by, some pretending not to see, others hesitating for a second before walking on. No one wanted to get involved. One of the boys crouched close, his voice low but venomous. "You don't belong here. Nobody wants to see a broken girl ruining the view." The words cut deeper than the kicks. Emily's eyes filled with tears, though she tried to blink them back. She wanted to disappear. But then the ground began to rumble. At first it was faint, like distant thunder rolling in across the ocean. Then it grew louder, closer, until the planks of the pier themselves seemed to vibrate. The boys froze, glancing around nervously. From the boardwalk entrance, a wall of chrome and leather began to pour onto the pier. Motorcycles. One by one they lined up in a perfect row, engines growling like lions defending their territory. Dozens of bikers, men and women of every shape and size, wearing black vests adorned with patches, skulls and wings. Their sunglasses glinted in the sunlight, their faces unreadable. To the bullies, they looked like an army. To Emily, they looked like hope. The leader, a tall man with a gray beard braided at the ends, swung off his Harley and walked forward. His boots thudded heavily against the wood. The boys instantly backed away, their bravado crumbling. "Is there a problem here?" The man's voice was low, steady, but dangerous. The biggest bully tried to laugh it off. "Nah, we were just joking around." The biker leaned in close, his shadow swallowing the boy. "Does it look like she's laughing?" Silence. The boy's face went pale. Within seconds, the rest of the bikers fanned out, forming a protective circle around Emily and her wheelchair. Their presence was overwhelming, like a fortress built of steel and loyalty. The bullies didn't wait for more. With nervous glances and muttered curses they bolted, their sneakers pounding against the pier as they vanished into the crowd. Emily sat frozen, her heart pounding. She didn't know whether to cry or to smile. The gray, bearded biker crouched down so his eyes were level with hers. His face was rough, lined by years of sun and storms, but his gaze was warm. "You okay, kid?" Emily swallowed hard, then nodded. I think so. Thank you." He gave a small nod. "Name's Jack. This here is my family." He gestured at the dozens of bikers surrounding her. "We don't stand for bullies. Not ever." The bikers stayed with her that day. They picked up her books, wiped off the scuff marks on her wheelchair, and even bought her a fresh bottle of water. But more than that, they gave her something she hadn't felt in months: belonging. Over the next weeks, Emily saw them often. They started inviting her to hangouts, teaching her about their bikes, letting her feel the roar of the engines as she rode safely on the back. Slowly, the shy, broken girl who had once thought she had nothing left began to rediscover her strength. But it wasn't easy. Emily still faced whispers at school, cruel stares, and her own doubts. Nights when she lay awake, remembering the accident, feeling like her life had been stolen. Jack and his biker family reminded her again and again, "Your legs don't define you. Your courage does." One day, Emily made a choice. Instead of hiding from the world, she spoke at her school assembly. With her voice trembling at first, then growing stronger, she shared her story. The accident, the bullying, and the moment the bikers stood up for her. By the end, half the auditorium was in tears, and those who had once mocked her fell silent. Months later, back at the pier, Emily wheeled herself to the edge as the sun set, painting the sky orange and gold. The familiar rumble of motorcycles rolled in, and Jack parked beside her. "You've come a long way, kid," he said. Emily smiled, her eyes reflecting the waves. "I thought my life ended the day of the accident. But maybe it was just the beginning." Jack placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. "You're stronger than most people on two legs. Don't forget it." As the bikers roared off into the twilight, Emily whispered to herself, "No one will ever make me feel small again." And she meant it. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done if you saw Emily being bullied? Share your answers in the comments. I read each one, and your voice matters. And remember, if you believe kindness can change the world, support this channel by subscribing to Be Kind Always. Hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and let's spread a movement of compassion together. Because sometimes, all it takes is one act of courage to turn a victim into a warrior.